Bend, no, Fort Bend, Texas area outside of Houston. Obviously a very popular market for us. But again, excited to kind of just talk with her about her journey a little bit with HomeWell here, and really give you guys a look behind the curtain of what it's like to be an owner here at HomeWell. And so, so with that, Vaishali, if you don't mind, please share a little bit about kind of your journey to us at HomeWell, kind of what you were doing before and what led you to join us here and become a franchise owner.
Sure. So I am an occupational therapist by training. I've practiced in the Houston area now. Gosh, I'm going to date myself, 32 years. Yeah, it's been an incredible journey. I'm from India originally, and I came here as a young therapist and absolutely fell in love with Houston. Houston is home now. I never say when I'm going to India, I never say I'm going home. I say that when I'm coming back. Yeah, so that's been my journey. The reason I wanted to do home care, so my occupational therapy journey was, I was a rehab therapist when I first started in inpatient rehab. I did that for 15 years, specialized in neuro rehab. And then I decided I wanted to do something different. I always loved kids. And so I moved into pediatrics. And I am sensory integration certified, worked with a lot of sensory processing disorders, and did outpatient for the next 15 years, or 13 years. And then I happened to reconnect with an old colleague of mine, a social worker from my first job, who owned a home instead in the Houston area. And she started telling me about it. And she said, you know, Vaishali, you'd be great at this. Really, I've thought about you over the years, and you'd be great at it. So I gave it a lot of thought, and I said, this is probably what I've been looking for, you know, which is something that will allow me to travel. I you know, in my previous job, if I didn't work, I didn't get paid. And I love traveling. I'm an avid photographer, and I wanted to do that. And so I started looking more into it. And my friend also said, by the way, I'm going to be selling my business. So if you're interested, look into it. So we started talking to her, and then I also made a few phone calls, and HomeWell was, you know, Christina answered the phone, and by the end of the day, I got a phone call back from her saying I'm approved. And I said, whoa, wait a second, this is amazing. Like, what made me choose HomeWell is, and I'm not going to bash the other companies too much, but the reason is because they focus so much on the fact that I didn't have any business experience. And I'm, you know, still don't consider myself a businesswoman. I'm more a clinician at heart, and I go by gut feeling and all of that stuff. I don't look at numbers. But what I love about HomeWell is you will see that it's a diverse group, and there's no cookie cutter recipe for a business owner. We all are extremely different from each other. I was listening to the recording from Ronnie's interview, was that from January? And you know, before I even started it, I was like, Ronnie's going to talk about all the numbers and the reports he pulls. Sure enough, he did. Ronnie and I are very close, and we talk a lot, or, you know, regularly. And so I knew he was going to do that, but that's his strength, and I don't have that strength. So we learn from each other. If I need to know what report to pull or whatever, I can call him always. And so that's the beauty of HomeWell. And that's the reason I picked HomeWell, is because we're so different. We're so diverse. Even when we get together at conference, we know what, you know, that person's strength is this, that person's strength is that. We're not a cookie cutter. All of us are not business owners, all of us are not accountants. We know what our strengths are, and we're able to capitalize on those strengths.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the head. A lot of the questions we get as people are understanding the business model and some of the concerns is that I'm not strong in this area. And I think that's where, as a franchisor, we really try to focus and help our owners is, right, you're really good at the clinician part, but maybe you're not as strong, to your point, on the number side. So let's help you understand those enough to be a good business owner, but not focus solely on that where you can't do what you really love to do, which is help people in your community.
Right.
And I think, you know, that's where our strengths come into play to help everybody, because everybody's a little unique. And
Right.
to your point, Ronnie is a different animal and thinks about the different business differently, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's bad, right?
No.
And I love the way you talk about your business, because I've heard it from multiple people. You don't talk about your business in revenue, you talk about it in people that you've helped. So help everybody understand that a little bit, because I think that's really unique. And I love to hear that from kind of your perspective on the why.
Sure. And I think, yeah, and that does come from my clinician background and being, helping people. So I look at my business as helping two groups of people. It's the employees, they have a job, and the people we provide the service to. And I think it's all a trickle down effect. I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, I think my strength is being able to provide that support to our caregivers. Yes, we can throw money at them. Yes, we can do all of that. We can give them benefits, but we're talking about a segment of the population that truly lives paycheck to paycheck. And they just want the job. They want to do the work, and but they don't want a 401k. They don't care. We've tried that. We've offered AFLAC. We've done all of those things, but what they are looking for, and we see this, time and again when we do annual reviews, is they tell us, we love the support you give us. We can call you if we have an issue and we know it'll get fixed in 24 hours. Or you're going to give us solutions so that we can work through that problem, whether it's a difficult client, it's a difficult family member, or they're just having personal difficulties like, their car broke down, or they can't get to work, they want to work, but they don't work, they can't fix their car. And so we help them in that process. And I think I go to bed at night thinking I helped somebody today and I made their life a little bit better. The money has never been a motivating factor for me. It just comes when you do the right thing and you do what you're passionate about doing. It just comes. I really don't keep track of the numbers. I've learned to do that now because the FBCs will ask me,
Yes.
and I'm a franchise business consultant to those who are listening. They ask me, so how many hours are you at? I'm really superstitious about checking my own hours. I don't do that. I'm known in the system for not doing that. So the FBCs check it for me, or I'll ask my husband to check it, or my operations director, but I don't click on that live view and go to the dashboard to check how many hours I have. I kind of know, like in a ballpark figure, where I am on that. But really, I go to bed thinking I helped somebody today.
Yeah. And I think, again, with a lot of the conversations we have is about staffing and recruitment and retention, right? I think it comes down to you hit it, the retention piece of how do you keep them engaged in your business, right? So, what are some of the tools that you've used for that to help, especially from a caregiver side? Because again, we all talk about it, this business is booming. It's not that there's a lack of caregivers, it's a lack of caregivers for the amount of clients that you're receiving in, I think is the best way I've learned to describe it, right? But from your perspective, how do you keep them engaged so they're working for you? What are some of the things that you talk about them with, or tools that you use to do that?
So for retention, like I said, I am actively involved in the business. I know the caregivers. I talk to them on a regular basis. They all have my personal cell phone number. They can call me, they can text me anytime. Some of the things, of course, we do give them like higher pay on the weekends, or if they take a last minute shift, we'll throw in some money. But I find that human factor of sending them a little text message saying, hey, thank you for taking this last minute shift. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. That helps, because my staff, even when I'm not on call on the weekend, they'll tell me, oh, so-and-so took the shift and, they were there within 15 minutes. I'll send them a personal text message saying that. If a client says, so-and-so was great, I immediately send them a text message or call them and say, thank you for being you. And I think that goes a long way. That's really been my retention strategy. Because for me personally, money is not a motivating factor. I tend to use that, the other methods to keep people happy, because I've never left a job because I wanted more money or somebody else paid me more money. It's always been for a different experience, learning something new. And so I tend to use that in this business as well. And so far it's worked. It's not just all about the money.
Yeah, and I think Gallup always says, right, people leave, number one reason why people leave their jobs is due to their manager or owner or whatever that role is, right? Not necessarily the job function. And I think in this business, because we are a personal service business, not only is it applied to our clients, but it definitely applies to our staff and how we keep them. And I think you do an excellent job of that, and have helped a lot of other owners not just look at the numbers, but also, hey, this is a people business, both internally and to our clients. So
Right.
we missed it. How long have you been in business? Because I think that everybody's curious to know that. Right? We skipped over that part.
Yeah, we just had our anniversary in February. 4 years.
4 years, perfect. And so I know you're expanding your business. I know it's okay. We talk about that. That's an awesome part of the opportunity for growth here.
Right.
What led you to that decision? Like, can I ask that question? Because I think it's, again, a lot of the questions we get is from the growth standpoint is, the opportunity to scale this business, provided that's what you want. So talk to us a little bit just about your decision to do that now, and why is that?
Right. So, when I started with HomeWell, nobody was there in Houston, which is amazing to me because it's such a hot market, right? And now it's like buzzing. But that was one of my reasons I didn't want to be a small fish in a big pond, and I wanted to grow with the company. I saw that with the rebranding, because the rebranding happened right at the time that I came in, like 6 months after that. And so I wanted to grow with the company. And just moving along and adding the territory and being able to help people in those territories has been my goal. Again, to me, the excitement of scaling it, and not really looking at the revenue portion of it, but just saying I service a large part of Houston means a lot to me, because the city means a lot to me. It truly has made me who I am today. I came here as a 21-year-old, and here I am 32 years later. This is my home. And so moving out into those territories was just very natural to me. So,
yeah. So let's talk about your team, your internal team, from a structure standpoint. Because again, that's something as your agency scales, it's obviously way different than it was when you started.
yeah.
What does that transition look like? Like when you started your business, who was on your team, and then what does it look like today?
So when I started, it was just me and my office manager, who's now my operations director. She manages everything when I'm not here. And it slowly grew. I added a care manager. I added a marketer. Been through several marketers, just because, I'm looking for that heart that person has that is similar to mine, the values, and that's been difficult to come by. But I think we finally landed on a marketing team that shares my vision and has the same values that I do. I then added a recruiter, a full-time scheduler, and I now also have a person who does all the compliance for us, like making sure the caregivers' credentials are updated, they have their driver's license, the insurance is updated. Small things like that can really make or break a business, because the last thing we want to do is put a client in somebody's car who doesn't have insurance, and something happens and then they come after our business. So it's such a small thing, but it can become a huge thing. I also have an RN, full-time RN, who's also my care manager. I still do a lot of the clinical aspect just because I love it. Like I'll go and do the assessments, but when I'm not here, my RN does that. So that I kind of decided to do the RN care manager position because I had an RN who was part-time. Here in Texas, we're able to do something called RN delegation. And so we're able to give medications, insulin shots, do G-tube feeds. And we're like the only agency in Houston that does that. Now, of course, the other HomeWells are also starting to do that, but really HomeWell is the only one who does that. So that's why I decided to combine those two positions and have a full-time RN care manager. That's really my team. I have, and what I've done is I've never waited till, in the beginning I did. And then I learned that don't wait till you need people. I needed them yesterday. I plan for the scaling. If I'm saying, okay, I am going to get to, 2,000 hours, billable hours per week, then I need to make sure I have a full-time scheduler who can handle those 2,000 hours. And then as we get closer to that, go ahead and add another person to take over, because that happens really fast, that transition. When you plan, when you market, when you do those things, you can go from 1,500 hours to 2,600 hours in just a matter of time. So
yeah, and that's an awesome point, because when we talk about the building of this business is, when do you add that next person?
Right.
And this, if you add them too late, you end up losing clients because your staff is just burnt out. And I think that's a valuable lesson. And I appreciate you saying that a lot of people, when they come in, we talk about how you scale this business is adding people at the right time. Right. So, and that's, I think, again, a great point of where your franchise business consultant is going to come in and kind of help guide that conversation. Again, the role of that person is to help you with that, not necessarily tell you what to do, because it's your business. You're going to operate it the best way you see fit, but to give you those best practices in order to execute, so you can continue to scale and ramp up your business as you see fit, by adding the right people at the right time, which is, to your point, is key.
So important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll insert another nugget of thought here, that not all of us aren't good at everything, right? So as business owners in the beginning, what I tried to do was I tried to do the accounting, I tried to do the billing. And I'm like, I hate this. This is not why I wanted to have a business. I mean, I'm completely right-brained and I cannot do any left-brain activities. So I decided that it would be better for me to hand over those activities to other people who are much more talented in those aspects. Organizing the office, no, I don't do that. Monica does that really well. So I trust her to do that and delegate those tasks over to her. My husband took over the billing and the payroll, because to him, he can do it in 2 hours, whereas it would take me all night to figure this out. I mean, I could eventually, but do I want to do that? That's not a pleasant aspect of the business that I enjoy doing. I'd much rather be out talking to people and trying to get the business. So I didn't want to do that. So I think it's important for new business owners to kind of recognize that we can't do it all. We're not talented, and human beings can't do everything. So we've got to let go of a few things and let other people who are better at it do those things, and things then fall in place.
So what has that allowed you to do? That one, the mindset of being able to let go, because as business owners, we struggle with that. Everybody does, right? And especially good type A people. No matter if it's clinician side or other, it's a hard, but now that your agency is in a place of, you have a good team, what does that do for your time? I mean, that's the thing. Like, you love to travel. So how much time are you taking to do that stuff? And do you feel that when you step away, that your business is in a great spot for you to do that?
If I count the travels this year, I think I might have a mini heart attack that I'm taking way too much time. I will say, if you want me to give you a number to give hope to everybody, it's about 8 to 9 weeks that I'm taking off this year. So, which is, I would have never been able to do that as an occupational therapist. I used to take 3 to 4 weeks off, and that too, some of it without pay. In the beginning, when I was taking time off and going to India for 2 weeks and stuff, I would keep my phone on all the time, and I'd get calls in the middle of the night. I would answer them. I was okay with that. At least I could go to India and see my family. But now I have a great team. We take call, we alternate. So I don't even get those calls unless it's like an emergency. And even then they handle it themselves. So I really, really appreciate, and I think I'm blessed that I am able to take that much time off and be able to go without the business getting affected in a negative way.
Yeah. And again, that's when we talk about the opportunity of an agency like this. It is a lot of work in the beginning. I don't think anybody makes any bones about that. Those first couple of years, you have to put in the work and build it right.
Right.
And as you have done, you've done that, and now you're seeing the reward of that with a great team, a great business, and the flexibility it allows you to take time off and go visit family and do the things you really love.
Yeah.
One of those is helping people, but the other part of that is taking time off to visit different places and visit family from around the world. So
Right.
that, I think, is, again, a great example of the opportunity here, but it takes work in the beginning. And
Right.
I think nobody's gonna tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
To kind of wrap things up, I'd love for you to share a little bit of your experience. What are the things that you've learned over the years that if somebody coming new into the system, a couple of nuggets, that obviously you've talked a couple of them, but what is one or two things that you would love to share with people that are coming in and thinking about this business?
Don't think too much is what I'll say. I've said this before, and Sam's heard me say it too. Owning a home care business is like or any business is like having a baby. You cannot be prepared for it all the way. It's going to be full of surprises. It's going to be full of positive surprises. It's going to be full of negative surprises, but just the pure joy of it after you got everything set up is worth it. The first 18 months of hard work is absolutely worth it. Because the thing is, you will never be able to analyze and think through every single piece of owning the business because you just don't know it. You don't know what you're in for. So if it feels right, if you feel like this is something you can do because you love helping people, go for it, because HomeWell is there to help you. I mean that in every way. Like opening throughout, the FBCs are great. If we need anything, the marketing department's always there ready to create something for us at a special request. So don't overthink it. Just do it. It feels right.
Yeah. And guys, when I tell you Vaishali is not afraid to tell you the good and the bad, that is the truth. So take her word for it. Because again, our goal here in the development department is to show everybody the opportunity and to help you that it can be a great business, but it's not a business for everybody. And that's okay too, to say that. So with that, Vaishali, thank you so much for your time today. Anybody that's on the call today, if you have follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to your franchise development director or myself or Sam. We'd be happy to follow up with you on those. But Vaishali, congratulations on what you have done so far. Excited to see you in San Diego here in another couple of months. And, I wish you all the success here coming forward in 2023. So everybody have a great rest of your Friday, and we'll catch up soon, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Vaishali.
Thank you, Sam. Bye.